All right, good morning. It's Monday, December 8th, 2025, 10 o'clock, regular session of the Board of Supervisors. First item on the agenda is the agenda itself and the minutes of the regular board meeting on the 1st of December and the regular session.
Move to, go ahead.
I move to approve both.
Right.
Motion and a second to approve as presented. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Public comment on agenda items only. We'll have the 10:05 hearing also.
Oh,
Here to make that, Kevin, at 10:05.
what's that, Chris?
We'll have you at on the 10:05 if you're here on the health.
Okay.
Okay. New business, Mr. Auditor.
Prepared. Do it.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Any further comment there? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Payroll.
Yeah, we have two items for you today. The first is going to be a warrant register for period ending 11/29/5.
Move to approve. Moved and seconded to approve the payroll warrant as presented. Any further comment? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Bob?
And then we'll have a new hire for sheriff office. This will be a resolution. Resolution number 70. Second.
We have motion and second on resolution 2025 number 70 and the new hire for the law enforcement. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Drainage. Moving on to item number 4, motion to approve the sheriff's monthly report of fees. To approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Auditor, item number 5.
Sure. So we had the city school election on November 4th, and per Iowa code, we were allowed to bill specific costs out to the individual entities, and this is just the process for you to authorize us to send those bills out to the 11th.
I move to approve that.
So
We have a motion and a second to certify the costs and have the auditor bill out as presented. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. You've got time for item number 6, Mr. Auditor.
Sure. So in front of you is a job description. Long tenured county employee, Tracy Seamers has submitted her resignation for retirement. After 37 years of employment with the county, she will be retiring. So part of that is the request to approve the job description in front of you, and to also authorize that for posting. Actually, to begin the recruitment process for the posting.
And make a motion to approve items A and B.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve items A and B regarding the election deputies retirement. Any further discussion?
My only thing is, so just we post these and then further discussion as we go through the process of hiring and what personnel looks like in your office. And
So this would essentially allow for it to be posted and for the position to be filled. But as far as overall staffing, that would be part of the budget process, and certainly have those conversations going forward.
sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll do item number 8 next, which is authorize the chair to sign the agreement with Bergland and Cram Architects. Tom, did you want to comment on that quickly?
Yes, this is the larger AIA agreement for the Rockwell shed development. The fee is the same that was that was negotiated originally in shorter form we used just to get the draft plan started. Otherwise, most of the agreement is just standard. It's been reviewed by both myself and the county engineer. So we recommend approval.
I move to approve as presented.
I'll say.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the chair to sign the architect agreement regarding the new Rockwell building. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, it's 10:05 at this time. We'll open the public hearing on the third consideration for the proposed health nuisance ordinance. And who wants to start? Kevin? And when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record also, please.
Kevin Hope, 194 Vine Avenue, Mason City. Here to talk about the proposed ordinance, voice my concerns about the broad scope and poor definitions that are in that ordinance. I realize that there's the need for something like this in the county, but I think maybe the scope of it should be narrowed down. Don't like the fact that it appears to be a blanket ordinance for every property in the county. If you read this new ordinance, I think Cerro Gordo County itself could be one of the biggest violators when you look at road right-of-ways with brush, weeds, dead animals. So it's something to keep in mind. And like I said, here to voice my opposition to it. Thanks.
Kevin?
Sure, that's Miss 19 at the very place. We kind of got alerted to this ordinance a couple weeks ago. Had some concerns about some effects, just normal operations, agriculture operations throughout the county, and how we understand that there's going to be we're not going to enforce all the things in there, but why put it on the books if we're not going to enforce everything that's out there and that's on the books? It doesn't mean that, all it takes is an election. It takes the wrong person in the wrong position to be able to go and do some really bad damage to farmers and their operations. And it's a lot more headaches on those farmers that are already kind of in the worst of the worst right now. One thing that we are worried about is the unlicensed vehicles, the burn ordinances that are also in that are some very big concerns. The buildings, unsecured buildings is another thing. We got some barns out there that have been around for over 100 some odd years, and securing those and making sure that those are within this ordinance, that they're part of their landmarks in some cases in this county. Some other things that we are concerned about is just the process of who's going to the lien process. There's another situation that we can talk about when we go back. Hopefully we get a chance to have some feedback for you all when we hopefully can look at this again. So thank you.
Thanks, Trey. Heidi?
Good morning. My name is Heidi Marquardt. My address is 15743 Avenue, Mason City. Today I'm here to share my concerns with you regarding the hotel. I will share with you my broad viewpoints as well as some thoughts on specific items. Then I'm going to end with a request. Broadly speaking, I think trust has been broken between public health and the people they work hard to serve. I understand a nuisance has been on the books for decades, and I understand many people weren't aware of it. I also understand it wasn't used often for enforcement, but now for some reason it suddenly needs to be modified. I haven't heard a clear answer as to why modification is necessary. If there aren't any real changes, why not just document the fact that the ordinance was reviewed and no changes are necessary? If there is minimal intention to enforce the rules of this ordinance, why not revise it to clearly state what rules will be enforceable? When the rules are needed for some areas of the county but not others, why not include that differentiation and allow the ordinance to be an accurate reference point for everyone? If the reason we need this ordinance is to manage health nuisances, more densely populated areas of the county, why not relate those requirements to the zones identified in our zoning ordinance? If you want to align this with state code, why not keep the current practice of referencing applicable codes as is currently done in the current ordinance? Referencing code is actually more accurate than duplicating, as it provides more context for accurate decision-making regarding the rules, and it minimizes the risk of discrepancy between county and state. One example where Iowa code provides an important context can be found in draft ordinance section 4K, which identifies one type of nuisance as, and I quote, dense growth of all weeds, vines, brush, or other vegetation so as to constitute a health, safety, or fire hazard, end quote. I see how this came from Iowa Code, chapter 657.2 and 12, but the Iowa Code also includes in that exact place, it includes the words in any city. While these three words may have been left out because the county ordinance does not apply to a city, it raises question as to why this nuisance was included at all, since the county ordinance does not apply in any city. If this nuisance of dense growth is important to some parts of the county that are more populated, it makes me wonder if defining nuisances based on population density might be the ultimate goal, in which case the zoning map would be a useful reference point. More specifically, I have multiple concerns about rules identified in the draft ordinance. Maybe some of these have been on the books for decades, but it's important to consider all items since the draft ordinance is now open for discussion. I can go into detail if you'd like, but in the interest of time, I'm going to just share a summary of my concerns. There is a conflict of applicability between the purpose and scope of the sections of this draft. Multiple words defined in section 3 are a natural part of rural life. 6 definitions in particular that are concerning to me for an ordinance that should serve the entire county. The definitions most concerning to me are abandoned building, junk, noxious substances, open burning, vermin, and irritants. There are subjective words used throughout the draft. Interpretation can be quite different based on individual opinions, experiences, and circumstances. Many of the nuisances identified in section 4 exist in rural areas for good reason. There are 10 items that I think should be reviewed more thoroughly before blanketing them as a nuisance in the county. But just a few of those that jump out to me. Barns are typically unoccupied and unsecured. Trapping is something that is actually done to manage the vermin population. Rules for carcasses are in Iowa Code Chapter 167, which provides more options than simply a 24-hour time limit, which is important for things such as livestock death. Opinions on what makes a building offensive can be related to financial status. Some people might not be able to afford to keep buildings in conditions that others think are important or necessary. Inoccupancy for 6 months can happen because some people are snowbirds. Moving on, I don't think there's enough time for people to respond to a claim. Currently, in the current ordinance, a person gets 20 days to dispute a claim. The draft ordinance only gives a person 10 days, which I think is an unreasonably short time to react. Administrative abatement, emergency or otherwise, seems quite bold. Not only does the draft specify costs of administrative abatement to be charged back to the owner, it provides the draft ordinance provides authorization for the administrative authority or designee to abate emergency situations without prior notice to the owner. This seems like overreach. If other people are like me, we're engaging in this discussion because we want to be in compliance with rules. We want to understand and trust the rules. Cerro Gordo Public Health wants an updated ordinance. Citizens want to understand why an updated ordinance is needed, and we want the rules that are applicable and reasonable. I believe all these things can be achieved by working together, so I respectfully request that the third reading does not pass, and instead a small committee be formed so public health and citizen representatives can work together to create a new, more suitable draft nuisance ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks, Lady. Anybody else care to speak?
Move to close the public hearing. I will second.
Motion and second to close this portion of the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. So before us is motion to approve the third reading or not.
I plan on, I'd make a motion to deny third reading of 11C.
Second.
We have a motion to deny the third reading of the ordinance as stands, and any further?
Yeah, I would just like to state that
The public has reached out with concerns on this ordinance. They have went through the proper channels. They came to the meetings, and this shows that local government works and the fact that people do have a say in it right here, because I definitely do not support passing this ordinance at this time either.
And I would just throw in there, I appreciate public health work and efforts we've been doing it throughout the county the last few years, is updating ordinances, zoning, this, that, and the other thing. So kudos to you for trying, I guess. I would ask you, not to put you on the spot, Trey, but you or somebody as far as Farm Bureau and well represented here with Trey, be willing to sit down with a group and to represent the farmers and hash this part through.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate some of the other comments was, appreciate Department of Health. This is something that we've talked about working for. There's no malicious intent. I know you guys working through this, and to Carl's point, the process worked, right? That's why we have these public hearings. That's why we have feedback. There's a lot of items that we're addressing on a weekly basis, both as a board and staff, right? And so again, we want to be pro-agriculture. We want to support our farmers, and there are certain areas throughout our county that are unique because they are residential, right? And so how we tweak the wording to get it to where it needs to be, we're going to get there. We're on the process of working through a zoning rewrite, and we can consult some other areas. I know you guys have been working on that. So anyways, I just really appreciate everyone's feedback and think this process worked, and hopefully we can come up with a reasonable solution where everybody feels comfortable. So with that, that's why I made the motion I did.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Roll call. Calman.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Gina.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes. Ordinance has been denied. So we'll move on to item number 9, IT Director. Ken Walls.
So what this is, so we have a license reinstatement has a software program that they use for their duties. Blackhawk was interested in sharing that, so this is an agreement to allow them to do that. The purchase, they'll purchase it for $20,000. It's an ongoing $1,500 per year, and then there's an hourly rate for support costs. So what the motion or that is basically to have the board sign the agreement, and then we'll send that on to Blackhawk County.
Yeah, no other change. We had a board staff on this and very similar. I mean,
Yeah, the language we did, just that's kind of a legal review. We did tighten up the language a little bit, the identification, and added emails, but there's nothing significant. There's nothing material that was.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to authorize the chair to sign the agreement with Blackhawk County as presented. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 10 is considering the bids to lease the county property as listed. Michelle or Tom?
We had approximately 5 bids for about 257 acres by the LEC. High bid was by Nick Plagge for $100,500. We're looking today for approval to proceed on and draft a lease with him, and then allow the chair to execute that lease.
I move to approve as stated, Nick Plagge at $100,500.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept the bid from Nick on the leases presented. Any further comment? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Items number 11 and 12 we'll do together, and that's manure management report. And on item number 11, there was no change, and there was a reduction on item 12. So
I move to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the 2 manure management reports as presented and forward onto the DNR. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up is our county engineer, Brandon. Good morning.
Good morning. I'll start off by talking about the weekend. We had a little bit of snow Saturday night to Sunday. The trucks and graders went out at 6 a.m. and they stayed out till about 5 p.m. on Sunday. So they were out there for a significant amount of time. I gotta be honest, they did pretty good, but our guys, just because of the easy winters we've had, and we have a bunch of employees without as much experience, it's definitely a learning curve for a bunch of people, and we're going to move around some of our experienced staff to work with a few of our newer operators to try and correct some issues that we discovered over the weekend through the last snowstorm. But in all, I think it went pretty well. We did have 2 motor graders that have issues. One has a wire harness issue that was taking it out of gear a bunch. Responding correctly, so we're getting both of us out there as the speed, they'll be back in action by the end of the day. Other than that, we just had some minor issues with trucks, but nothing big that stopped them. So all in all, identified some areas of growth in my guide, and definitely worked on that. Other than that, I was going to talk to you about, we sent a bunch of used equipment up to Stephanie's for auction. And the portion of it that sold so far has netted us about $54,000. And one of the things I was looking at doing this year was replacing a couple of my technicians' pickups that they use for their inspection activities. And with this extra money, I would like to replace both of them this year. We happen to have found 2 used pickups that fit exactly what they're looking for, the right setup. So I guess I would like to proceed with utilizing that money, knowing that I'm going to put that amendment later in the year to utilize that money. Make sure you guys are okay with it. Both the pickups are red. That's good for the other part about the week. I keep that uniform, and we'll have less than 30,000 miles on it. So for what we do, that's excellent condition to pick up for us. They'll save us a little bit of money. We don't use market versus.
No red flags on the 2?
They're just red color. There's no issue with them. And I don't have a lot going on. We don't have any other than a few minor projects we're working on currently. Going on kind of right now.
So when they're not on the snow removal, they got some projects off the list that they can work on this winter?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff they're working on is internal, getting things cleaned up and getting gadgets built that we use during the rest of the season that we don't have time for. So different tools have moved around the way can help organize and keep things in a tidy and move it back so we can keep control of that inventory easier. So kind of things that seem minor but take up time. We handle those and we're not on. But right now they're all out there straightening, getting down the road in better condition.
Anything new on Illinois?
Right now, they moved in. They're going to start tearing it down. We're waiting for a permit from the DNR for the notification that give them for a tear down the building. So as soon as we do that, go ahead, they'll be tearing it down.
In the next week or 2, you think?
Should be, hopefully, about 5 days from now, we'll start. If the permit comes in after 10 we expect.
Good progress. Gentlemen? Anything else, Brandon? Thank you. We're going down to correspondence and announcements, and I just want to formally recognize the group in the back room here. They're from Des Moines, ISAC, Iowa State Association of Counties. So, or I don't think we got a chance because you came in late if you want to talk to, or if anybody wants to talk to them afterwards. But do you have anything you'd like to say?
Wrap up.
Sure. Go for it. Trey's been waiting for it.
The rest of the crew jump in here in a minute. Appreciate you having us. I'm Andrea Woodard, Executive Director of ISAC. I've been at ISAC for almost 18 months. And this is part of our 99 county tour that we kicked off in July. This is our 19th visit. So having us. One of the goals when I first started, I guess I spent a lot of time working with staff and getting to know our board, but early on tried to think about ways we could get out throughout the state, connect more in more meaningful ways with members outside of some of the events. And really, you're mostly and almost always hosted in Des Moines. So really appreciate you having us. The goal with these is to share a little bit about what ISAC does, who we are, and then we really want to hear from you. So it's about gathering feedback that we can come back to ISAC members and hear more about it in the coming months. But appreciate having Auditor working with you to set this up, and just a few little things. And I know government relations was something that you all said would be tough. And I don't want to take too much time, but we'll have folks come up to me in a minute. And before I do, just a little bit about ISAC for those that maybe don't know. So the United States Association of Counties is the member organization for all 99 counties, and all 99 counties are dues-paying members. Our mission is to promote effective and responsible county government for the people of Iowa. And outside of the 99, there's 6, hopefully you're all, those of you involved in the county that are here, there are 16 affiliate organizations that we work closely with that make up the ISAC board. So there's 22 ISAC board members from 17 counties, statewide, 872 county elected officials, and over 17,000 county employees. And at ISAC, as of the end of the year, we'll have 27 team members working on your behalf. So there's a lot that we do. And if you didn't grab a packet, we've got information about some of the services and programs we provide. There's also in there, got a pretty great IT team that put together this entire program just so that we could print off these one-pagers that talk more specifically about Cerro Gordo County and everything from the programs that we have that you participate in, our endorsed partner programs, ISAC board and committee participation, event attendance, and then on the back are our legislators, because we do spend a lot of time as it pertains to advocacy. So those have also been a couple of opportunities for us to make sure we have our records updated. So if there's anything you see on there that we need to correct, please let us know. We always have talked a lot about the importance of the affiliates. We rely on the affiliate organizations heavily when we're doing our day-to-day work. And so hopefully if you are not involved with your affiliate, I encourage everyone to do that. Adam, thank you for your service with the Auditors Affiliate as you're wrapping up president. And believe Dana, your assessor, has been also, this is not affiliate related, but we've stood up an ERP software task force and great involvement from members across the state. And Joel can touch on anything he wants to share here in a minute on that. I just really appreciate everyone's involvement, and we're always looking for any interest from members to get involved in committees or otherwise. Maybe we'll do a quick intros as to who each of us are, and then if there's something that Joel, Courtney, and your team wants to share, we can do that. And then whether you want to give us some feedback now or we'll stick around, whatever works for you. Okay, so I mentioned I'm Andrea, Executive Director, and I always tell them to mention what county you're from, where you grew up. So I grew up in rural Lynn County on a farm, and I'll talk to Joel about.
Oh, okay. Joel Roney, I've been with ISAC now 3 years. I was the ITGIS director for Worth County for about 18 years. So been a wonderful neighbor for you folks here, you Southern folks, as it were. So I do manage ISAC North, out of the Northwood office, but grew up in Worth County, about 30 steps away from Worth County.
I'm Courtney Beardy. I'm the administrative coordinator at Council. I've been here about 40 years, and my home town is
Which county? Sorry. Hamilton. Okay.
I've been there 12 years, and I grew up in Potawatomi.
Jamie Gattman, the Director of Government Relations for ISAC. Worked for ISAC for 12 years and grew up on a farm in Jones County.
That's who we have with us. And I don't know what you want us to cover. Other than government relations, do you want us to give a little bit about some of the work that each of us is doing, or should we dive into second topic of that?
I think government relations, and then after the meetings, Jaron will visit with you Other issues.
Jamie, you're up.
Good morning again. Thanks for having us. Almost feels like it was a week ago that we were up here in Mason City, and guess what? We were for a district meeting. So good to come back up here. And like I said, I'm Jamie Cashman. I'm the Director of Government Relations for ISAC. I'm part of the team that lobbies and advocates on your behalf when the Iowa General Assembly is in session, and then even in the interim as well. And as Andrea had mentioned, we represent, ISAC, our organization, but also the 16 affiliate organizations as well, and to advocate on our top priorities and to advocate things that aren't good, or against things that aren't good for counties. And so we have wrapped up our policy development process for the year. To give you a Cliff Notes version of that, of our 16, our legislative policy committee is the main driver of our legislative policy development process. And that consists of 2 members of each of the 16 affiliates. And so they meet a couple of times in the fall. And then in October, you have the opportunity to vote online to provide recommendations to the ISAC board of directors on what our top priorities should be for 2026. And so we've wrapped that up. And so here are the 7 top legislative priorities for ISAC going into the 2026 session. Not shockingly, property tax reform. We keep hearing on both the House and the Senate and also the governor's office that they're going to take another crack at property tax reform. What will that all entail? That remains to be seen. But the basic tenets that we keep telling legislators and so forth, that there is no one size fits all policy that if you're going to make some changes, you can't treat all of the counties the same and so forth. So you need to have that flexibility. We're advocating that if you are going to do something this year, do it right away. And as I know you're all going through your budget process right now, you need to know what playing field that you need to have. Give us some, if you're going to do some reform, look at other things like alternative revenue sources as well. And then the other thing too is this dumb mailer that they require all the counties to do that totally confuses your constituents and so forth. So we're asking if, and I know Jane Bloomingdale has been a leader in trying to get that fixed and trying to make it, if you're going to do it, kind of make it a more apples to apples type comparison to make it easy on compare in terms of when people get that in the mail. And then not shockingly, eminent domain, certainly with what we've seen with the pipeline, with the carbon capture pipeline and so forth, that has been, again, another top priority for ISAC. The House, again, passed legislation last year, and thankfully the Senate followed suit and did that, but not thankfully the governor vetoed it at the end when she was wrapping up legislation. So we'll be, again, pushing for it. As we talk to legislators, what we're hearing, it's probably going to be a little bit more tight and just address banning eminent domain for carbon capture pipelines. And then Medicaid funding, as we've seen some stress coming from the federal government, make cuts to Medicaid, the need to address Medicaid and those reimbursement rates all across the board is needed now more than ever. And so the other thing that we'll be advocating in regard to Medicaid is asking Iowa HHS to ask the federal HHS for a waiver in terms of having to maintain Medicaid coverage for those prisoners that are in jail. As we travel the state, we keep hearing more and more about the demand, the stress that it places on budgets, but you can't budget for it. So you could have one person that could all of a sudden drive up some medical costs of, we've heard $60,000 to $100,000, and you can't plan for it. The other thing too is on the high cost of prescription drugs, and they always keep to go up and up and up. So we need to have that addressed. Securing and protecting Iowa's water resources. For the longest time, we dealt with quantity in terms of flooding and so forth. But as we get all these new data centers and Bitcoin and all these other things, the demand for water has gone sky high. And so what we're asking for with that is to require a conservation plan for all those high-end users of water, and then also work together with the state to come up with a plan statewide to partner between the state and the counties in terms of maintaining our water resources. Next is also Iowa's natural resources and outdoor recreation. And this, long story short, is the funding of the trust. That we've gone past over a decade since the constitutional amendment was passed. People assume all of a sudden that the trust was funded, but it hasn't. So we're finally asking for that. Well, we're asking to finally get that done and so forth. County access to the ICN. The demand for IT services only grows and grows each and every day. And to have access, but for counties to have this access would be so beneficial to counties. And also to provide another outlet in terms of being able to save county data as it goes into the cloud. And then lastly, E911 and public safety interop. What we saw at the 11th hour of the end of session, the legislature came through and basically they looked at the balances, the cash balances that E911 had in the counties, and it allowed the state to scoop any of those balances. Well, as you all know, if you're making some major purchases like towers, the equipment, and everything that goes along with that, you do build up a big balance and so forth to do those big projects. And so what we'll be asking for to address this is to ask for an increase in the surcharge, and then also to look at the overall bills as well. As hardly anybody has a landline anymore. And so looking at a percentage of the overall bill and have that indexed moving forward to make it sustainable. And so with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you might have.
I still got a landline. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when they talked about Doge, the committee they put together this last year. You're spot on that letter, because when the last 2 years, that was a major confusion point for the public to get that separate tax statement in the mail.
Oh, yeah. No, we hear it all the time.
And the money the state wasted on putting it together is just probably phenomenal itself.
Yeah. And speaking of Doge, we saw the recommendations. You probably have seen it too, and so forth. So we've heard some concerns, especially combining the recorder's and the treasurer's office, and so we'll be in opposition, obviously, to that. But there's a number of different things that we have concerns about, but we'll be watching it closely. And if it pops up in legislation, we'll make everyone aware of it. Also, I would be remiss, every Friday morning, we host a webinar to go over all the major happenings in the legislature for that week. And it's interactive. You can go in the chat and ask questions in the Zoom, and then it's also recorded. So if you can't do it, you can tune into it, later on. So please, and we'll also have some special guests too. Certainly with the Ways and Means chairs in the House and the Senate to outline whatever their property tax plan is. We'll do that again, just like we did last year. And the biggest thing that we can humbly ask of you is, once these property tax bills come to fruition, to give us your feedback in terms of what this would mean to Cerro Gordo County and so forth. So, and I know, like I said, no two counties are the same in terms of their budgets and the assessments and so forth. We need your feedback, and I thank you for you did it last year and the years prior, and I humbly ask for that again.
On the webinars that you were talking about, so I don't want to say they're not interactive. It's a chat room only.
No, they're interactive. Yeah. So yes,
good question. Okay.
You got it. Yep. So what we do is, we outline what happened during the week, and then we just open up questions. So anybody can hop in and ask questions.
The state ECI board, the last couple of months, it's been them and them only, and got to raise your hand in the chat. Nobody, participates because of it. So
yeah. No, we recognize everybody. And if for some reason we run out of time and so forth, we write down all the questions and we follow up and get back to you.
You're aware of, ISAC's aware of our concern here in Cerro Gordo County, and that comes to fruition next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 to 5. So, and we do know the rest of the state's watching to see what's going to happen here in Cerro Gordo County. So, Heidi, right behind you there on the end, Heidi is our chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and she put in countless hours, took upon herself to go visit one of the sites over in Wisconsin. And I kudos to Heidi once again, but I am just, people need to go do their homework and see firsthand what this is all about. And we're afraid of what it's all about. So that's all I got to say. I don't know if we got anything.
I'm thinking of it. No, I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Also, I wanted to recognize Doug Campbell, our state senator, which I think you guys have met in the room here also, and welcome to hang around and chat a little bit more. So,
All right, thanks, everybody.
thank you. That said, we're down to one item.
Go to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are at 10:41. Thank you.